Get ready for your dose of digital marketing strategy and tactics that will help you find the success you are seeking. You are listening to the Digital Marketing Podcast with your instructor Mandar Marathe.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Digital Marketing Podcast. Today with us we have Saket Rao, and Saket is a top brand and marketing leader from India. He has worked across multiple industries including retail, FMCG, BFSI, real estate. Some of the global brands that Saket has spearheaded here in India would include MasterCard and Barclays. And currently, Saket is heading the marketing for Oxford Caps, which provides affordable and high-class student housing. So, Saket, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mandar. That was a very, very nice introduction. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to introduce me like that. I have done my bit, learning every day.
Great. So, Saket, for all the listeners, if you could tell how did you start your career as a marketer? Was it accidental or you always wanted to get into marketing?
No, it was absolutely accidental. I actually wanted to get into films. I had a passion for writing and directing and acting, and I did a bit of theater in college. I also was sort of an artist. I used to paint and all of that. So I had a creative bent of mind from childhood, but advertising and marketing was purely accidental. I thought I will make films after doing an advertising course. So it was an absolute accident that I landed up as a marketer, but I always had a curious mind, so it kind of helped. So I still am passionate about films. I follow world cinema and enjoy the process of understanding how human mind works and try and apply that whatever best way I can in my marketing career. So I've been at it for 15 years now. Started my career in 2003 and uh, you know have worked with some of the best people in the industry. Have been very, very fortunate to be have also have been taught by some of the best professionals in the industry during my college years. So it's been a great journey to till now.
Great. What was your first job as a marketer? Where and I mean, how has the journey been so far from your first job till now, where you're heading the marketing for Oxford Caps?
Well, the journey has been very, very interesting. My first job, I remember, was standing as a promoter for Tata Indicom back in the day and trying to sell a piece of their devices. And from then to now, heading the marketing for Oxford Caps, which is a leading student accommodation provider across Asia. So we operate out of Asia, India, Singapore, and Malaysia. So I had the marketing piece for Oxford Caps this way. The journey, like I said, it started very small. Then I went on to study formally the whole process of marketing at Xavier's Institute of Communication in Mumbai. Then started working with advertising agencies such as Ogilvy and Mather. Did a little bit more education from IIM Calcutta and then got back into marketing and started leading efforts for MasterCard in Asia, which included countries like India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Maldives. So it's been quite an interesting journey. Then the startup bug kind of bit me, and I joined and launched housing.com back in 2015. And now here I am.
Great. So, if you could just, for a lot of people who, in marketing or in digital, they actually want to work at startups and they have been working most of their life in at large MNCs or organizations. So, how different it is currently at your role at Oxford Caps, or what's the market difference that you're seeing in terms of heading marketing for a startup versus an established organization?
Well, In a startup, you are pretty much, responsible for each and every decision that the organization takes. So you work very closely with the leadership to understand their vision, and it becomes imperative for you as a marketer to bring your best foot forward. So in a very large organization, there is a possibility that you're necessarily not in the firing line, but in a startup, it is every experience that you've had till date, you have to kind of go back, rewind it, and use each and every experience in your arsenal to kind of bring value to the organization. And it is very important to so there is no bureaucracy as such, so that allows you to have a direct access to the leadership and get an understanding of what the vision of the company is. So it makes your job as a marketer very interesting, lot more responsibility than working in a large organization, because every decision that you take is going to determine the future of the organization. So in a way, it's a sort of a adrenaline rush, and I enjoy this process. I've done it in the past in housing.com, where me and my boss, we launched housing.com in India, and that was a big task and a big learning experience. So from there to having worked in two startups, and now this is my third one, I believe that the most enjoyable part is the responsibility that comes with it.
Great. So nice to know that. So since we are, talking about uh, Oxford Caps, and you said that you provide student housing in Asia. So what's it about, marketing to a millennial? What role does you think digital and social media actually play when it comes to marketing to a millennial for Oxford Caps?
Well, interestingly, we don't market to the millennials. We actually market to the Gen Z, which is a generation after the millennials, born after 95. Some say born after 97, but we can keep that argument aside. But that is a more complex generation to market than a millennial, because they were actually born with all the digital technologies in their hands. So, in fact, some of the target audience that I market to were born as early as 2000, and they must be 18 years of age or 19 years of age right now. And you have to be very authentic with them, because they can sense a marketing effort very very quickly. So you have to be very truthful. You cannot spin a web of words or create some beautiful piece of communication just to entice them. You have to be honest, you have to be authentic, and you have to deliver what you promise. And that as a marketer becomes very very interesting, because we as marketers have been taught to add a little bit of layer of fiction in our communications. But with this generation, it is very important to be as truthful as possible. And in terms of the role of digital and social media, well, we spend most of our monies on digital and social, along with television and some other mediums. But digital and social allows us to keep the audience engaged. It allows us to have a conversation with the audience, which is very very important in today's day and age. So we have a dedicated team which answers each and every query on social media. Though we are a very young organization, we believe that unless you have a question and answer format or an interactive format with the audience, you won't really understand the audience. So that becomes a very interesting part of marketing. Having done marketing at scale and at an Asia level, I never really thought that we would have to sit and answer queries of each and every customer. And today, even the customer care department sort of relies on marketing to guide them as to how to work with the customers. So that becomes a very interesting piece of the overall marketing gamut for Gen Z.
Great. So, I mean, what I collect from this is that you need to be there on social media, including your customer service needs to be ramped up on across social media platforms, since you get a lot of queries, questions, comments on social media before someone one would actually go ahead and make a decision about choosing you as a service provider. So it is very,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And what's interesting that has come out in the last few months that I've worked with Oxford Caps is surprisingly, apart from social media, WhatsApp seems to be a great piece where we have to be very, very careful and very quick in responding to the customers. So because a lot of customers prefer chatting with us on WhatsApp and other platforms than just social media. So that is seemingly very interesting piece of communication kind of that is growing. So we have to be up in the game. We have to be very consumer focused even in responding to the queries which appear on WhatsApp and other medium.
Yeah, so I think nowadays all the consumers simply know that if there is a goof up that happens in a communication, they'll just take a screenshot and put it up on the social media channel. So we need to be very careful actually, in terms of what we are communicating, how we are talking, how quickly we are responding to our target audiences. So
Absolutely.
absolutely. So since you worked as a marketer at an agency at Ogilvy and Mather, also at Mastercard, Barclays, right? How do you look at this piece of integrated marketing communication? Is Has the line blurred between the services that are offered by a traditional agency and a digital agency? Or you look at now maybe partners for Oxford Caps that offer services across all the channels or mediums?
Well, it's a very difficult question to answer because the lines are honestly blurring. We as marketeers, like back in housing.com, what we did is instead of going to an agency for everything, we would have agencies for a specific project. So wherever we needed a specialist is when we would go to an agency, but we would actually end up creating in-house team, which is what I have done in Oxford Cavs as well. There are experts, digital marketing experts, social media experts. There is a complete design team, a video production team, which is in-house, and that allows us to create communication at the spur of the moment. It is not very easy to do that with an agency. Having said that, there is an agency working with us which provides us creative direction in terms of larger projects, but day-to-day communication, which earlier used to be never used to be day-to-day, it used to be once a campaign, has become almost a daily communication. You have to be active on Instagram. You have to post at least 3 to 4 posts a day, which is the global standard, and for that you need capabilities both in-house and agency which is as agile as you are. So it is a collective effort of multiple creative forces. Okay, we cannot always rely on only an agency. While it can provide creative direction and kind of give an outsider's perspective because we are too close to the brand. So definitely the lines are blurring, and like I said, we go to a specialist agency for projects which are very difficult to execute in house. So that piece is turning out to be very interesting. When I was learning marketing, we knew that okay, there is one agency which provides creative direction, there is an agency which does your media planning, and there was no digital agency then in 2003 really. So that itself is an interesting journey for me as a marketer, and the whole curiosity that it allows me is very, very interesting.
Great. So I think you kind of answered my next question, which was, would you rather build a team of marketers in-house or would you outsource? And you said that, for some specialist functions in marketing, maybe you'll look at outsourcing, but you would want to keep most of your team in-house simply because you need to be agile as a marketer, and you need to make sure that you're uh, putting a lot of emphasis on creating content and, ramping up the content creation on social media, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely. Sorry, just to add a small point to that. So in-house teams are very important. At the same time, specialists are equally important because at scale you want the best of both worlds. At some point you have to create a nice mix of both outside and in-house talent because they have to work together, and at some point it is important that you allow the creative our roles as marketer is not really just a creator, we are also our critiques. So that becomes a very important piece in the whole puzzle. So you cannot lead a marketing effort unless you are able to kind of step back and take a, a critical view of your own work. So that becomes very interesting. So both in-house and creative teams become very important because it allows you two perspectives, one which is very close to the brand and one which is slightly giving a bird's eye view of the brand and coming back to us with feedback. So that becomes very, very interesting.
great, great. So, Saket, I actually was going through some of your communication, and I saw that Oxford Cap has done Student of the Year two promotions. They have also done short some videos where they're actually taking the student from his college to the housing and showing how close the housing is, right? So I mean, there is a lot of video content on which you are focusing, and in terms of creating video content. So what would be your advice for other small businesses or startups like Oxford Caps who have limited budget, but still video is a critical component of the marketing mix today? So how do you go about creating video at scale, or what's your thoughts about video marketing?
So I will not give my expertise. I'll kind of try to give some advice from Gary Vaynerchuk, which is who's a great digital marketing leader of sorts and also a businessman, very popular across different countries. And he says that today video content can be created off mobile. Okay, so I my advice very clearly to any business, including ours, is that we don't always rely on giving the having the best of the production, and I am used to it as a old time marketer. But today I don't stop my teams from creating content on a mobile or any video recording device, because even the best of the cameras are available for rent, and all you need is somebody who can just, and even video editing softwares are available on mobile. So it is if somebody is getting stopped because they don't have the best of the equipments, I suggest to them that drop the equipment, just take your mobile phone because we have the best cameras, and just go ahead and create video content. Because and every research will tell you video content is what is consumed the most as of today, and there is a definite movement towards audio as well, but video content still continues to dominate, and you could keep creating this as much as possible with every device that you possibly have.
Great. So I think what we have in common is both of us follow Gary, and he's all over our LinkedIn feeds and social media feeds in terms of the content. The other guy who's out there, I think, is Neil Patel, who also does a lot of video content. But
Absolutely.
yeah, Gary's is quite unscripted and I'd say quite true. So, like you said, for brands who don't have budgets, you still have mobile phones and good quality mobile phones with cameras, high resolution cameras. So, go out there and think about the content you need to create and go ahead and film it. And then, you can easily edit it and put it out there. So, yes, I
Absolutely.
would absolutely agree with you in terms of, putting an emphasis or getting your team to create a lot of video content. So how do we, so yes, you're creating a lot of video content. You're putting out 3 to 4 posts on Instagram or on social media. You're communicating with your audience on digital. How do you actually measure the effectiveness or, ROI of your marketing efforts, or let's say digital marketing efforts, or any marketing efforts? What is let's say the key metrics that you at Oxford Caps look at when it comes to getting the best bang from your buck when it comes to marketing?
So that's a very interesting question, Mandar. It allows me to kind of get a perspective on what I do as well. So the effectiveness is almost like a pyramid, because on one hand you're building a brand, and brand is not just your posts on Instagram. There is a larger piece that needs to kind of bind the brand together, right from what is the tone of the brand, what kind of colors we use, what kind of fonts we use, to the way we communicate, what we allow for our communication to include, what we don't allow, where do we draw the lines. So one part of effectiveness is actually understanding that whatever piece of communication that you're putting out, what is the engagement rate with that communication piece. So you cannot always measure brand in sales terms, because I also lead the sales effort along with some of my very talented colleagues. On one hand, I'm building a brand. On the other hand, some of my digital marketing efforts are going towards lead building and creating a community of people who are genuinely interested in our services. So on one hand, the budgets are going towards generating leads. On the other hand, the budgets are going towards creating a great brand which is loved by the community. And since the world, and especially Gen Z, who we are targeting, is all about community, right from playing games like PUBG, which are community games, to being on social platforms, which are again community platforms. Our jobs are, as marketers, is I go back to my earlier answer, which is to create a conversation with the consumer, and try to create that conversation as effectively as possible, so that it also allows us to come back and revisit our branding efforts, and then apply those branding efforts to lead generation efforts and digital marketing efforts, and then get the maximum bang. Because if you have a conversation, chances are you will get some insights which you can immediately apply to your digital marketing efforts and get your leads at the lowest possible cost. So it has to be a nice balance between the two, and it becomes very interesting as a marketer, because you're kind of juggling many balls in the air, and it is at every point a very interesting you know thing to learn about the consumers. I also try and go to some of the sales pitches and all of that, to understand what exactly is the consumer wanting at the ground level. Because sometimes the conversations on social media are can be slightly filtered, because people are careful about what they post. But when you are sitting in across the table with the consumer, you would understand what they are thinking and what is their expectation. So to even be effective on digital and social, you have to go on the ground. So a mix of all of these three is what gives you the maximum ROI.
Great. So just to quickly recap, you say that engagement rate is right up there when it comes to measuring effectiveness of your campaigns, and how receptive the audience is to your communication, how much they are talking to you, commenting on your post. Engagement rate is very important, as well as building a brand and focusing on brand related metrics in terms of how positively are people talking about the brand, what is the reach, and so on. So you focus on brand as well as engagement as two key.
Yes.
Great.
And thirdly, whenever we do any efforts on digital to generate leads, we try and see how low at a cost then we get a lead, and that is actually a sum total of effective engagement and effective brand building. Because if your brand is engaging enough and positive enough for the consumer, chances are they will give you a lead very very quickly. I mean, they will show their interest very very quickly to the brand. So all of this will eventually relay back into building a great sales channel for us.
Yeah.
So
So
that way, yeah.
glad you mentioned that. I mean, for most of the businesses that we work with, and they come up to us and say that we want to generate leads, and they are then unhappy with the cost per lead that they are getting. simply because they have not invested enough time and effort on the brand building side. So again, if you focus on brand, you focus on building your brand, then automatically your cost per lead is going to come down because people are going to know about your brand, click on your Google ads, click on your Facebook ads, and that's going to help you in your lead generation efforts, like you said. So yeah, great advice for anyone who's looking at digital marketing purely from a lead gen perspective. Don't look at just lead gen, also look at, brand building. That would get down your costs. Great. So last question, Saket, before we take a break, is that there are a lot of students and freshers out there who are listening into the digital marketing podcast. And what would be your advice in terms of making a career in marketing? How should someone start about uh, uh, with a definite purpose, and how you should go about building a career?
Okay, so it is again very interesting question. Sorry for using the word interesting so many times. You can do a word count and how many times I use the word interesting. So thank you for asking that. My only advice to the students is that they are better marketers than we are, because they are actually, most of the students that probably would be listening are either millennials or late millennials or early Gen Zs. Most of them have been exposed to a lot of marketing during their lifetime. All they have to do is kind of rewind and try to understand how they were communicated to, and if they were in a marketer's chair, how they would translate whatever needs to be communicated to them into a articulate piece of creative. So that is what the students need to do. Curiosity is the most important facet for any marketer. You have to be curious. uh, I try to, as a marketer, be always updated about the trends that are happening in the marketplace. uh, uh, you know Trends that are affecting the millennials, how Gen Z is getting affected, how businesses or sorry, professionals who are already above the millennial age, how they need to be impacted. Because on one hand I'm targeting the Gen Z, and then their parents who are not even millennials, they are probably in their early 50s or late 40s. So that itself, like, you have to be very very agile. You have to be very very curious. You have to keep your eyes and ears open. There is great pieces of communication getting created all over the world, and I never limit myself to trying to take inspiration only from one category. I take inspiration from movies, I take inspirations from TED Talks, from podcasts like yours, uh, from listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, from listening to Neil Patel, to trying to get inspiration from some piece of beautiful cinema that is created on Netflix, and even the web series that are created. So because each of these allow you to understand how the world is reacting to different pieces of storytelling that is being created. And most important thing, I kind of missed the word storytelling in my discussion with you, but storytelling, as people who are wanting a career in marketing must understand storytelling, must invest in understanding world cinema, because that is the most crisp and interesting piece of creative or art form that is created. So you have to, as a student, keep invested in great storytelling, right from watching Game of Thrones, and from a critical point of view, not just from an audience point of view, to watching sporting action, right from UEFA to football, I mean, to other championships which are played, to cricket, and how different pieces of engagement opportunities are created for audiences around the world. And that allows you to understand audience in general, like what do people react to, what do people love to do, love to listen to, and things like that. And also the recent election that happened, that is again, even the 2014 election, that's a great piece of marketing case study on how a nation was united to elect its leader. So there are so many pieces that you can always be receptive to, almost like a sponge, and then use all of that and articulate your marketing piece.
Absolutely fantastic advice, I would say. I mean, in terms of, I don't think in today's time you need a book on marketing. You don't need Philip Kotler, or you don't need the four to understand the four P's of marketing. Yes, the basics or fundamentals need to be cleared, but learning marketing, it's available at your fingertips. I mean, you can simply subscribe to Neil Patel, subscribe to podcasts, watch Netflix, and content. There is so much content and so many videos out there that you don't need a book per se. I mean, there are so many free courses out there on Coursera or Udemy where you can just get started on today and become a marketer. So absolutely great piece of advice there, Saket. Thank you so
Or
much.
you could listen to Mandar and take advice from him. He is available on LinkedIn and other platforms to give valuable advice to all the students out there. And if there is anything that Mandar and I can do for you, we would be more than happy.
Great. So I'll definitely put in Saket's contact details on once I post this podcast on LinkedIn and other social media channels, and you can always reach out to us for any inputs, all the students out there. Great. Thank you so much, Saket, for a wonderful episode on the Digital Marketing Podcasts. And I hope the listeners and everyone who listens to it gets a lot of value. I think we spoke a lot, and it was of good value. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mandar. You have a great day. Thank you to all the listeners who subscribe to this. Mandar is a great guy. If you are looking for any digital marketing advice or looking for an agency, reach out to Mandar. We have worked together back in the day at Mastercard, and his advice during those days still comes in handy. So, looking forward to working with you soon, Mandar. And anybody looking for an agency should reach out to Mandar.
Thank you for the kind words. Thank you so much.
This episode of the Digital Marketing Podcast has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more digital marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you have always dreamed of. And don't forget to review and rate so that I can provide the best content possible. Be sure to tune in to the next episode on the Digital Marketing Podcast.